hour of truth for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and I've got Bob and Kevin here in studio.
Hello, Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. So this is Radio Free New York Christmas special, and I'm just excited about Christmas. I'm so excited I brought a Christmas hat to wear, and I didn't think about the fact that it's not going to fit on my head with the headphones.
No. Well, you might be able to make it work. You just gotta
maybe. We'll see. We'll see if I can get on, during the break or something like that.
You folks in Radio Land can just imagine the hats.
Yeah.
They're very Santa-like.
Yeah, all the people listening on the radio, you could have told them you had a hat.
I could have said
I know, the
that,
people on Facebook would know.
Yeah, the people on Facebook and YouTube would be like, what is he talking about? He's not wearing
There's
a hat.
behind you. It's
So
there. There's a hat present.
There is a hat. It's present.
You do have the greenest of sweaters, I want to point out.
I do, yeah. And this is one of my favorite ugly Christmas sweaters here. So it is a reindeer being eaten by a T-Rex. So
I like that. And it does not have Santa snorting Coke.
No, it does not.
I did almost wear my Game of Thrones Santa sweater.
I haven't seen that one.
It was dirty. Oh, I wore it last week actually, but so you can see it in the Friday video.
Yeah.
But it's got Santa Claus, but he's on an iron throne. But instead of an iron throne, it's a candy cane throne.
Okay, I didn't make the connection. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna admit this on air. I haven't seen the final set of the Game of Thrones yet. I don't even know where to get it. Like legally anyways. So
there's places you can get it.
Yeah, I know where to get it, but I don't know where.
Just get HBO for a month and then cancel it. That's what
is that where it is? It's hanging out on HBO. Okay. There we go. So today's going to be a little different. Normally, we talk about, politics and current events and all of that stuff. But today being, Christmas, I figured what we could talk about is Christmas stuff. So I know that sounds kind of weird, but so I wanted to talk about like cool or favorite Christmas traditions. What do we do at home? What do you guys do at home? And just kind of have a discussion that's just taking a break from the norm, I guess. So Kevin, I'll let you start off. Do you have a favorite Christmas tradition?
Favorite Christmas tradition. So one of the things that I always do every year, we always make a nice meal. We're gonna make a nice meal for Christmas Eve. We do that, and then we also like to listen to Johnny Cash Christmas album.
There you go.
Which is both great and sometimes also a huge bummer. But there are songs on there, if you ever listen to that album, where it makes you appreciate like small things, right? There's a song on there about like, these two boys, Johnny Cash as a boy, and he's talking about how excited he is to get like an orange for Christmas, or he's excited to have like his brother make him a little whistle. Just small things for Christmas. He's grateful for the gift, sharing things with family, and helping out his neighbors. There's a song in there about how he helps out his neighbor who doesn't have any oil for the night, so they make sure that she has oil and food for the evening. And those nice things like that, I like to appreciate. Like, hey, I live in a relatively comfortable home. I have food, I have heat, I have lighting. That's a nice thing. So I like to reflect on all the blessings I have for the year by doing that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Bob, how about you?
Well, I like the midnight service, Christmas morning. That's something that I've always historically liked doing. I like my array of Christmas movies, which I ritualistically watch every year. This year, one of them, of course, It's a Wonderful Life. There was a great print of that film that was shown at the
George Eastman House at the Dryden Theater. And surprisingly, complete prints of that film are hard to find. Wherever you get them, because the film was put together in the late 40s by director Frank Capra, and he couldn't get any studios interested in the story. He had bought the rights to it, and nobody wanted to produce the thing. So he and a bunch of other guys got together, and they formed this company called Liberty Films. And it was not a success when it first came out. It was kind of a flop. And so it kind of languished in obscurity until independent TV came along in the 70s and started using that film, a colorized version of it, to counter-program against big network Christmas spectaculars. So they would have something to put on the air. And then people discovered the film, and it really kind of took off. Because the film, Liberty Films, went out of existence, nobody was there to protect the copyright. And the copyright expired and went into the public domain. So a lot of the versions of It's a Wonderful Life have sections missing. And are not complete, but there is a complete, really nice print that we saw at the George Eastman House. I also like the Christmas Carol with Alistair Sim, and I like the 1968 claymation Little Drummer Boy from Rankin Bass.
Okay, there you go.
Jose Ferrer.
Now, It's a Wonderful Life. Wasn't that potentially either filmed or parts of it were like Rochester or Western New York?
Seneca Falls.
Yeah.
Seneca Falls.
Seneca Falls.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not too far from
there's of course there's a controversy about it. I think it's been pretty much laid to rest by this point, because we know that Frank Capra in the summer of 47, actually 46, before the film was done, paid a scouting visit to Seneca Falls. And there are references in the script to Rochester, Elmira, and Buffalo. The bank examiner who comes to look at George Bailey's, lending institution, his mortgage company, says he wants to get home to his family in Elmira.
Yeah.
And his, one of his compatriots wants him to invest in a plastics factory in Rochester. But one thing I did see in this print this time around, which I have never seen before, early in the film, when it's the flashback section when the kids are all young, they're running down the street, and the camera pans past this signpost with Genesee Street on it, which I had never seen. So I think that it's pretty conclusive that the real Bedford Falls, which is the fictional town, is modeled on Seneca Falls. Of course, it was all shot on a soundstage. There was no location shooting.
Okay, all right, very cool.
Seneca Falls, I think, kind of tries to own it though, and they're like, I think they do a race there every year now after It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, there's a lot of events there.
Is,
there's actually I think it's awonderfullife.com or something, or maybe it's got Seneca Falls in the URL. But there are other towns. There's, I think, one in the Midwest somewhere that claims to be the authentic Bedford Falls. I don't know what the basis for that claim is.
Cool. Yeah. For me, Christmas movies are the Die Hard series. That's
absolutely. Some people dispute that that's a Christmas movie. I disagree.
They're wrong. Yeah,
exactly.
They're wrong. Yep. If you're listening to the show right now and you think Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, we're gonna disagree on that.
I mean, there are a lot of towns in Michigan that have the same names as Western New York towns, because a lot of people from here, when they were moving west, in the 19th century, settled in Michigan outside of Detroit. So there's a Livonia, there's a Bloomfield, there's a Mount Morris, there's a Geneseo. Yeah. There's things named after Genesee and other names like that. But I think that I think that the true Bedford Falls is Seneca Falls.
Yeah. No. Yeah, so for me, Christmas traditions is kind of like an interesting mix, right? Because my wife being from Czech Republic, we've adopted some of their traditions as well. But in terms of like what feels like Christmas, definitely we're playing Pentatonics like all day long. And those who might not know about Pentatonics, they're like an a cappella group. They, I don't know, they're good. We enjoy them. So we usually turn on the TV. They've got a playlist that's just like a fire burning in the background. And
didn't they do a Christmas special a feel like they did. They had like a Hulu Christmas special or something.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I don't have Hulu, so I don't know.
As we record this, Kelly and Ryan Seacrest and Kelly Ripa show of Pentatonics was on. So I guess they're kind of Christmas perennials now.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have a whole lot of new stuff, but I don't know. It's a good time. We love listening to it. We're gonna take a break here on Radio Free New York, and we'll be back in a moment.
Merry Christmas to all. We'll be back.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, Bob Savage here for the WYSL station. So times are tight, and you've got to watch every penny. How to get maximum advertising impact without shelling out maximum bucks? Well, there's print media. Of course, there's a reason why it's called the incredible shrinking daily paper. Then there are those penny savers and shoppers, 98% of which hit the recycling bin without ever being opened. And are you really looking for customers who are shopping for used tires and playpens? You could try cable TV, 500 channels, 12 viewers per channel. Or how about hiring some guy in a day-glow orange wig to dance holding up your sign down at the corner? If you want real advertising impact with a quality message for savvy consumers who actually have money to spend, WYSL has a giant 20,000-watt signal and 2 FM channels at 92.1 and 95.5, covering 1.4 million people all over Rochester and the region, literally all the way to Pennsylvania. Get results, save time and money. Call us, get on board, and start growing for 2020. 346-3000 or WYSL1040.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Today is our Christmas special show. And we were just talking about Christmas traditions at the home, and I was starting off with we play Pentatonics. We pop open YouTube, we pull up their Christmas playlist, and they got a little fireplace burning in the background. So we do that, and then some of the things I like to just talk about are some of the things that are different in Czech than here. One of them being Santa does not bring the presents. And that is probably the thing that people are most surprised about.
Who brings the presents?
Who brings the presents? Jesus brings the presents. And so it's very interesting. And the presents don't get like hidden under, they're not set under the tree in advance. Oh, and I forgot to mention, they actually celebrate on the 24th, not the 25th. So they celebrate Christmas Eve instead of like Christmas Day. So what happens is the kids, after Christmas Eve dinner, they go to their rooms, and then the presents are placed under the tree, and then the adults or the parents or whomever, grandparents, they ring a little bell, and that means Jesus came and dropped off the gifts. And then the kids can come running out of their room. So I don't know. Yeah. It's different, but it's pretty cool. You know, it's one of those things that you look at, and they still have Santa as well. I'm not sure what role he really. I think he's just a good guy. You know,
Nice dude who gives gifts sometimes.
Yeah. But in terms of like the person who gives the gifts, it's actually Jesus. And then they do like a Christmas Eve mass at midnight. The thing that's interesting there when we're there is the churches are old, you know, like 700-800 years old. There's no heating in them. There's no anything. So when you go to like midnight mass, like everybody's bundled up head to toe and, you know, hats and scarves and mittens and everything.
And a flask.
And a flask.
Did I say that out loud?
No, it's funny over there, you know, the like the priests and stuff, like you can find them in the bar. Like it's not uncommon, it's not weird, it's not like frowned upon over there. So yeah, it's just different.
There's a strange attitude that we have towards watering holes, towards bars and stuff. In Pennsylvania, you know, the neighborhood watering hole, the bar, whatever that you hang out, you know, the kids are in there with mom and dad. Yeah, they're playing foosball or they're playing the jukebox or whatever, and mom and dad are having a pop sitting at the bar, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah. So that's you know, that's something that it's a little different. Something I like to while we're over there participate in that. So while we're over here, you know, we celebrate. We'll celebrate Christmas Eve similarly. You know, we don't have any kids to ring the bell for or anything like that, but we'll do like a dinner on Christmas Eve, and then with my family, we'll do Christmas Day, and that's usually just like ton of people, ton of food. Good time.
Kind of what we do.
Yeah.
You know, the big family is Christmas Eve, and then just, you know, you go to your corner on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
And then you get together again later in the day.
Yep, absolutely.
See, I end up traveling around all day Christmas Day because we have my wife's family who's from Rochester come to our house Christmas morning, and then we travel out to Utica for my family in the afternoon. And they're always late to everything. They're always late risers. So it's all right. So we kind of wander in like 3 o'clock, and then we get in, and everyone eats a big dinner, and then we have like a little gift exchange, and that's it.
Yeah.
Your folks live actually in the city of Utica then?
They live just north of Utica in Barneveld. My grandparents live in Rome, and I grew up in a place called Oriskany. So
Oriskany, yeah.
Yeah.
One of our alumnus ran a radio station who was in Oriskany. It was right midway between Utica and Rome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Small little village over there.
So another thing that was pretty cool that we participated in this year that felt kind of like a Czech tradition for us was, you know, in Czech they have all these Christmas villages all throughout the city. And same thing in Germany too. We were in Germany one year and they had just these huge Christmas villages that you could walk through and get all this stuff. So Rochester has a Christmas village now.
I was going to say, yeah.
And nowhere near as large or
well, it's what, the second year of it going on?
Yeah, so
it's
it's
still
year
building.
2.
So you went this year?
Yeah, so I went this year. Last year I was in Czech, so I didn't get to check it out last year. But it was pretty cool. You know, they had the ice skating there. They had kind of like the little vendor tents and stuff like that. And I actually see a decent amount of potential if they were to open it up to more areas downtown. You know, right now it's at, I think it's Manhattan Square Park. Or did they rename that park to...
Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I think they changed the name.
So, yeah, but it's a nice thing. So we went the first weekend it was open, me and Sammy and a couple other friends, and we did the ice skating, which was fun because Sammy's never been ice skating before. So she was using the little walkers around there.
Yeah.
And then she's trying to hold on to me, and I haven't ice skated in about 10 years.
Oh, nice.
They had that.
You guys got video of that? That'd be great.
Oh, of course I did.
Awesome.
And they had curling there, and then they got fires all around so you can warm up while shopping, and then they switch out the restaurant every week, and they switch out a lot of the vendors every week too. So if you go again, it's different stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks like I was looking at the schedule. It looks like they're closed the next 2 days, and then I think they reopen on like the 27th or the 28th, all the way through the 31st.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that was pretty cool. And I was looking at that and I was like, okay, so this is like potentially a cool start, to this. Then if we could get something similar at like Parcel 5, and get like the pedal tour guys to ride people between, or you could just walk, it's not that far away.
Terrible walk.
Yeah, because...
So maybe one day it'll be big as like the ones you visited over in Europe.
Yeah. So kind of the way it works in Europe is, there's all this like hot and mulled wine all at, throughout all the food stuff. And so you'd get your hot wine, you'd sip it as you'd walk the blocks to the next place, and then you do your shopping there, get your next hot wine and sip it as you go along the way. So it doesn't have to be wine. It could be chocolate or any other festive drink. But yeah, so that kind of, was inspiring, like, hey, maybe we got something going here that can grow and expand on. And I know there used to be a train or something downtown, right?
I'm just thinking out loud here. You guys are too young to remember all this stuff, but I have to tell you, when I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, downtown Rochester was magical at Christmas time. And any older folks, people of my age will tell you that. There used to be, what you're referring to was the monorail, which was in Midtown Plaza, which is, of course, dearly departed. Midtown Plaza was really a phenomenon when it first arrived on the scene. It was really the first indoor shopping mall, or at least one of the very first. And the Austrian guy who designed it, the architect, regarded it as one of his triumphs. And it's interesting because what it did is there was a bunch of department stores in downtown Rochester that all kind of backed up into this common alleyway area. Mm-hmm. So essentially, Midtown Plaza consisted of them taking the rear off of B. Foreman's and McCurdy's and some of the other department stores, and just creating this big common area behind, which was air conditioned, and you can look at photos online. As a matter of fact, the DNC's got a pretty good photo album up right now if you want to look at it at democratchronicle.com. But there was a thing that would get constructed between Thanksgiving and Christmas in the common area of the mall. It was this big mountain. Yeah. It looked like the Matterhorn, fake, of course. And then they actually had this monorail that was a prefabricated monorail that went around the mall. It was suspended from these kind of like trestles. And younger kids would ride in this thing, and then they would be deposited to wait in line and talk to Santa and tell him what they wanted for Christmas. So that's what the
They actually have one of the cars at the Holiday Village in Rochester right now. So yeah, if you go to where Santa is, you'll see the monorail car, which apparently my wife got to ride in it as a kid. Because it was around until like the early 90s, I think, right? So.
Yeah, I want to say 1990, 1991, something like that. And that's when the mall really started to fall on hard times and the stores started to close. McCurdy's, I think, closed. The entire department store, I think, closed in 95. Yeah. It was, I believe that the monorail, which is worth a lot of money because very few of those were made. And I believe it's being stowed at Artisan Works.
So for those of us who don't know, what is a monorail? Is that it's suspended?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, like one the car hangs from it and it would travel.
So almost
like
a ski lift.
They have them at Disney World. There's that's the internal park transit system they have there, and it goes into the monorail at Disney goes into the Contemporary Hotel and picks up passengers. It's like a subway that's suspended in the air.
Okay.
As opposed to going underground.
Okay. Very interesting.
Only has one rail, so hence monorail.
Yeah, well, that's why I assumed, but I wasn't sure if it was hanging or, so very cool. All right, awesome. So I think we're about at a break, I think.
Yeah, you got about 30 seconds you can kill here.
All right, awesome.
We need to vamp for it.
But I mean, the downtown department stores, I mean, back in the 50s and 60s, they were all decked out, and they were fantastic. And you had the bell ringers out, and they were standing. I remember kicking along through the slush and the snow.
Yeah.
And the Salvation Army band is playing, or sometimes there's bell ringers, and the streets downtown, guys, were packed. I mean, all these shoppers, the toy department at Sibley's. It was a happening place.
I'm looking at it right now. The monorail might have been running until 2007. Is that right?
Really?
Yeah, that's how it's Wikipedia, so you know, like
I don't think so. No, not that late.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on Radio Free New York. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment.
Merry Christmas to you and yours from the WYSL stations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Today is our Christmas special. And for those of you listening to the live stream, you see I managed to get my festive hat on.
Yeah, you figured it out.
I figured it out. Yep.
Can you hear anything?
Nope, can't hear anything. No.
For those on the radio, he's got this long Santa hat, but he's got headphones over the hat.
Yep.
So we're wondering what he's hearing.
Yep. Yeah.
Hello, Andrew. Testing.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Nope, I'm here. So, you know, this we're just having fun, kind of taking a break away from the normal news and disparity we see in New York and the politics, and just kind of talking about Christmas and kind of what we enjoy, what we do. Maybe we'll talk about what we eat. What's your favorite thing to eat on Christmas, Kevin?
Oh man, so we always do a nice big breakfast. I'm a big fan of breakfast food, so just lots of bacon.
Bacon, mostly what it is. Christmas bacon.
Yeah,
Amen.
So for Christmas Eve dinner, what we had was Korean barbecue, which is strange,
okay.
not exactly traditional Christmas, but we had all these short ribs we needed to use. I'm like, let's do something fun with them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the time it's just, you know, my family eats whatever's, you know, easiest to prepare, so oftentimes it's, you know, bacon and eggs and potatoes for breakfast, and then like cheese and pepperoni and ham for dinner. And
that's great. You know, one year, Yolanda and I we went, I think, to Thousand Islands, and the hotel we were in had just a waffle maker with the best waffle mix we had ever had. Like, so we decided to buy a waffle maker, and then we were doing a Christmas brunch, and we were like, what if we made waffles, but we made it with we made loaded waffles and like potato loaded waffles. So we did like, you know, bacon and cheddar and chives and all this stuff. It was awesome. Yeah.
Nice savory waffle.
Yep. Yeah. And I forget, we made like 4 or 5 different flavor types of waffles that year, and that was pretty good. It was great. I mean, we had everything that you could think of for waffles. I think we might have done like a velvet cake waffle, and just like
I gotta think that with the Olana that there's probably some great Czech baked goods. I mean, every European country's got something, you know.
Yeah. So they have these vanilla crescents, and there's these little U-shaped things with some light powdered sugar on top, and I'm pretty sure it's mostly just like butter and walnuts. You know, no, they're pretty good. The thing is, you're supposed to make them 3 weeks in advance, and they sit for 3 weeks.
The cure them?
And whatever they do, and I tell you what, when you eat them, you just can't. You're like, what is this made out of? This is so great. They're just really light and kind of just like melt when you eat them. You know, they're very good. So we missed the window on those this year. We did not plan accordingly, and then we tried to plan it maybe 2 or 3 other times. We're like, well, we could eat them sooner. They won't be just as great, you know. But we missed out on them. So, but yeah, Czech, they do a lot of different pastries and stuff for sure.
Being a British descent, of course, we always had plum pudding. I haven't had it in years. It's a misnomer. It's not really made out of plums at all. It's made out of a whole bunch of different fruit. It's kind of mashed together, and it's this very dense kind of thing. It's a little bit on the dry side, which is why good plum pudding is always served with what's called hard sauce. Hard sauce essentially consists of butter, sugar, and brandy.
Oh.
Is that why it's called hard sauce?
And that's why it's hard sauce.
Hard sauce.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
No, we used to do the sugar cookies. I mean, you know, again, My mom was never much of a baker herself, so we'd always buy like the little tubes, and you just kind of slice them, and they have like the little snowmen on them or the
Little
reindeer
faces,
on them.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
so they'd have those, and then we'd be tempted to eat half of them raw, which I know is not good for you. I know,
But did you die?
I know I didn't die. I know
it's
CDC's
fine.
like don't eat raw cookie dough, but man, I saw a sugar cookie loaf in Wegmans last night, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna eat half of that raw. I'm just gonna.
I'm still very much of the belief that cookies were a complete accident. Because cookie dough is so good. Who thought to burn that? I'm pretty sure like that cookie dough was the intent and cookies were the accident. Like somebody left out in the sun or something. I was like, oh, this is kind of okay too.
I can believe that theory. I'm fine with that.
I don't know why they call us hamburger helper. It's just fine by itself.
Yeah, so on my side of the family, the cookie thing was probably the thing I remember most growing up because my aunt loved to bake, and so inevitably I'd spend Christmas Eve at my grandparents' house helping bake, and we would bake cookies. And I've got a big family, so just in my immediate family there's 7 of us, and then I've got 5 aunts and uncles just on my dad's side, their kids, and we had like a great aunt, the grandparents, like just a huge family. So we would literally bake cookies till like 3-4 o'clock in the morning and then sleep and then get up like a few hours later to like continue Christmas. And that was always like a blast. I wouldn't want to do it now. Like, and to that point, like my aunt who did that, they made the cookies a couple days ago instead of, doing the overnight.
Are these the iced cookies?
Yes,
The nice colorful frosting?
Yep.
Totally a sucker for those.
Yeah. The candy canes, the stars, the Christmas trees, you name it. Yeah.
The blob that's supposed to be Santa.
Yep.
It's a very odd looking thing. But that's Santa. Okay, if you say so. Looks like South America, but
Close enough.
Close enough.
It's a thought
Yeah,
that
it's just,
counts.
yeah. When it's in my stomach doesn't care. So, but yeah, always a good time. Something I was thinking about is actually gift wrap and how many people do things so different with gift wrap. Even in my family, you've got the super shiny, kind of like almost hard and sturdy gift wrap, and then you've got the more cartoonish gift wrap, and what I think is becoming more popular now is kind of like those natural tone type gift wrap.
They look like the brown paper bags.
Yeah. Which is kind of like what I like. That I don't know, more natural look, but I also do really like the really firm, shiny, like almost gloss to it, with the like deep silvers and golds and stuff like
those
that.
Those are a good look, and we have a few of those under a tree every year because it's just a nice look. And then, did you ever do the comic wrapping as a kid? Did you ever do those?
No, I think in like school, when we would do like the school gift exchange, like you do newspaper or comics or something like that.
I felt like that was like the easy wrap. It's like, all right, this is just available back when you just have a bunch of newspapers lying around. You just wrap.
We used to do a couple of years. I used to do the radio wrap. What the radio wrap is you would take paper off the teleprinter, the UPI machine.
Okay.
The teletype is going and spitting out this paper. So of course, a lot of that would get thrown out. So you take a bunch of that, and for ribbon, you use magnetic tape. You get some spare lengths of tape.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
People would be amused by that.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. So what about your first Christmas memory? Remember the first Christmas you remember? Bob, I'll let you start if you
first Christmas. No, Andrew. We're talking about 65 years ago.
Sure.
Yeah. I think I remember lighting the kerosene lamps. I think, and probably. Having to go out to the outhouse. No. Look, we all have Christmas. Our first Christmas memories are about age 5, right? And isn't that what we all want? We all long to go back to that time. And probably a good thing that we can't.
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely.
I remember that was the year I think I got this little school bus, this mechanized automated school bus, and it was battery operated, and you put it on the floor, you turn the thing on, and it would go along, and then it would stop and the red lights would flash, and the door would open. Then the door would close, the lights would go up, and then we'd go on to the next stop, and it would do it again.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
That was kind of a wild thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, memory's a little bit fuzzy, but I remember like getting things like we got one of those like Power Wheel things. You know what I'm talking about? Like the little tiny cars that you'd be able to like press a button and
like slot cars.
Well, I don't know what a slot car is.
It goes on a little track, and it's and you have control.
It's not a track. Like it's like battery powered.
Oh, okay.
And so I remember there's a Christmas of me as a young child like getting one of those. It's like a red Jeep thing, and you press the button and you go like 3 miles an hour riding in this car.
Oh, you rode on this?
Yeah, you actually rode it. It's one of those things. So I do remember getting one of those. Or I think I got a bike for Christmas. My early memories are fuzzy, and I know like a couple of my early Christmases, like my dad was in the Navy, so we would get Christmases at strange times. Like he had told me a story how one day they had to leave Christmas morning, and he was so heartbroken because he wasn't going to get to see us open our presents Christmas morning. He had to ship out that day. Yeah. So we opened all of our presents Christmas Eve, of course, and just did it that way. And, you know, we were young enough where it didn't matter, and we were all happy, and he got to see it. But fortunately, he missed that Christmas with us.
Yeah. Now, mine was a rocking horse and a Hot Wheels carpet. I don't know if you guys remember the Hot Wheels carpets, but
no.
Just looks like roads. And
I was 30 by then.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna take a break on Radio Free New York, and we'll be back in a moment.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Human trafficking is when someone is being forced, tricked, or coerced to engage in a sex trade or forced labor. If you're a kid and forced to sell sex, drugs, or work against your will, that's trafficking. You're not a criminal, and there is help available. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888 or text Be Free. Sponsored by the Livingston County Safe Harbors Human Trafficking Task Force.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. This is our Christmas special, and we hope while you're listening to this show, you are having a very Merry Christmas and hopefully spending time with friends or family and maybe your dog or cat or whatever.
Yeah. Family.
You know?
So it's Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah, of course, too. And Festivus was Monday.
Well, we
Festivus for the rest of us.
Yeah.
You got your aluminum pole?
Of course. Who doesn't? Who was joking about that? The guy who does the Urban Phoenix was joking about, well, Rochester's a Festivus city. We gather around a big pole, although the lights are a bit much, I guess. But,
yeah, well, you know.
but we do have a big pole
We do
in
have a big
Rochester.
pole. The Liberty pole, I think,
Liberty
is what it's
pole,
referring
yeah.
to. Yep. So, speaking about things you do, around Christmas, what about things that you used to do growing up, but things that maybe don't happen anymore? And also, if you're listening to the show and you're on social media, feel free to comment in on any of this stuff. Tell us about what your what your Christmas traditions are, what you like to do, and things that you used to do that you don't do. So Kevin, I'll let you roll off, or I can start if you want me to. Yeah. So while you think about it, yeah. So something we always used to do is, we always had a live tree, which we still do in our house. But my grandparents would always get this big tree, and they would pull out, as we're all decorating the tree, these tinsel balls, these balls made out of tinsel. And everybody in the family would line up with 2 or 3 tinsel balls, and it'd be kind of like a 1, 2, 3 go thing. And then everybody would throw their tinsel balls at the tree to do the final decoration of the tree.
This sounds suspiciously like Christmas combined with Festivus.
Maybe. I don't know. But that's what we would do. It was a good time. Of course, I don't think you can find tinsel anywhere anymore.
Yeah, I don't see it much around anymore. I do remember as a kid putting tinsel on the tree, and we wouldn't wad it into a ball and throw it. We'd just kind of grab a fistful and throw it at the tree, and it did
little balls. They were made into balls. They had a special case that they would all go in and stuff.
I've never seen this. I saw the loose stuff, the loose tinsel that you kind of just drape over the branches. And
well, yeah, no, they were little balls we'd toss out there. So it was a good time. My guess is the reason we can't find tinsel now is too many Christmas tree fires, and it's just don't really have that.
They used to have that
anymore.
stuff was made out of mylar, and before that it was actually lead foil. It looked like we called them icicles, and it looked like icicles that would hang on the.
Made out of lead foil?
It was made out of lead. Yeah.
Man.
They probably got rid of that for a reason. I'm not sure.
It's toxicity. The later stuff was made out of plastic. It had the same.
Yeah, I'm
look.
thinking of the mylar stuff. That's
Right.
the just shiny silver stuff that you'd get.
It came in this package, and it was in a sheet, kind of and you pull sections of it off and put it on the branches.
Okay. Yeah. So what about you, Bob? What did you used to do that maybe doesn't happen anymore?
Well, we used to had we had actually built a creche, a nativity scene. It was like a little barn kind of thing. We made it out of cedar strips down in my dad's shop, and then we glued straw on the roof to simulate a thatched roof.
Okay.
And at the department store, we bought little figurines, plaster figurines of Joseph and Mary, and made a little manger for the baby. I think we made that actually out of tongue depressors, like popsicle sticks that we stained and made it look authentic. And then we had the ox and the lambs and all the critters and the 3 wise guys. And it was kind of nostalgic. I don't know whatever happened to them. Probably got sold in the estate sale when my dad's house got cleaned out. But we had all those figurines, and the prices were written many years before in crayon on the base. And it was interesting because they were like 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents.
Yep.
They're very old.
Back when a Happy Meal was 12 cents or something.
When there was no Happy Meals.
No Happy Meals.
No McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh man.
Imagine a world, Andrew.
Well, and it's interesting that you bring up the nativity scene, because I feel like I don't see many of them anywhere anymore, not even in front of churches and stuff.
Well, people are afraid of getting sued,
No. It's interesting. In Czech Republic, they're very prominent. And, every home has a nativity scene. And a lot of times they hand make them, and they'll use things like walnuts and other little things that kind of make them. It's actually pretty cool. So
yeah, ours was handmade. Like I said, in the shop, it sat on a base. It had a little fence, horse fence that went around it that was built into the base, and it was illuminated inside. Had little Christmas tree bulbs inside to light it up.
Yeah. How about you, Kevin? You come up with one?
No, I mean, it's things that happen, but things that I don't do anymore. So, we watch things. We do like watching The Grinch. Sure. Christmas Eve, things like that. We'd all decorate the tree. My parents like to have 1 million ornaments, and so we'd all decorate the tree as family. I don't do that anymore. Because the cat keeps batting down every ornament that we get. So we just put the lights on the tree and leave it at that. Yeah. So we had a nice fake tree that we'd put together and then put all the ornaments on, and you'd see like the ones that you'd make as a kid. There'd be like a little plaster thing that you'd paint as a 2-year-old or whatever. So my Mom liked to put all those up, and we'd get a new Looney Tunes ornament every year. That was our tradition. So just adding another thing every year. So we kind of stopped that around when I was 15. We just stopped doing it for whatever reason. But it was always just watching movies and hanging out with the family. And Christmas Eve as a teenager, we'd always play card games. That was our thing. Okay. We'd play Phase 10 or Uno or.
Board games were always great.
Yeah. So just do some sort of family activity.
Yeah. We would always do puzzles. My grandfather would have these big, either 500-piece or 1,000-piece puzzles in a
jigsaw
card table. Yeah. And you'd sit there, and throughout the day, little teams of people would gather together, put a few more pieces, and that's something that we've actually picked up. Probably in the last 2 years, started doing that again. And it actually came up when we were out at a camp in Canada on a little island here, and the storm came through. And so everybody was kind of stuck together in a lodge with no electricity, no anything, which, I'm not used to having electricity or any of that stuff when I'm camping, so I wasn't bothered. But there's a bunch of kids, and somebody brought out the puzzles. And, it took 7 or 8 hours to finish this puzzle.
They're very time consuming.
Yeah.
That's why they're big with senior citizens. So.
Yeah. And Yolanda loved it so much, we brought the tradition back. So
that's a nice thing.
Yeah. Another thing that I realized that, I'm sure people do it, but just felt more prominent when I was younger, was gingerbread houses and gingerbread house villages. My mom used to make these insane gingerbread stuff. She'd even take hard candy, melt it down to make stained glass for the gingerbread houses.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that done. Yeah.
I think you can buy that pre-made now.
Yeah. But yeah, she used to, 2 or 3 days parties with her friends and do that. And I just don't really see that anymore.
So they did have a gingerbread house thing at the Rock Holiday Village too. Although I don't know if they had. By the time I got in, it looked like they had maybe run out of supplies for a little bit, so they're restocking. But they did have that, so that might be coming back, especially since you have some of the pre-made kits that can take out some of the hard work of making your own glass. And
Yep. Yeah, no, I remember. I mean, you'd have to kind of measure out how you want each square to build the house, and then you'd use the frosting as glue, basically, to hold it together and all that. So
sounds intense.
Yeah. No, it was a days long. Her and all her friends, they would get together. They'd trade houses, where it was going.
Real quick, last 30 seconds. What's your favorite holiday meal? Christmas Day meal.
Holiday meal. Kevin, you got one?
Turkey, ham.
Whatever. Yeah. I like, again, I generally like pasta and whatnot, but no one ever gives me pasta. So I always get ham, beer.
I like beer. Yeah, I like loaded mashed potatoes and candied yams. I gotta love that. How about you, Bob?
Yorkshire pudding. With roast beef. Yeah. Okay. Again, the British thing,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yep. Awesome. And I love the meats too. I mean, the ham and the turkey and whatever else you have to eat.
Well, this year we don't have to prepare the turkey. Last year we had to make the turkey and everything. It was the whole thing, but...
All right, guys. Well, here's the end of the show. Merry Christmas, and thanks for joining us on Radio Free New York.
And Merry Christmas to our friends in the Southern Tier listening to the WENY stations, and also out in Newark at WACK, all of our friends out there. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you on Boxing Day right here.